My name is Barbara Noonan, and I'm an artist from Seattle. I have a studio in Pioneer Square, and I paint in pastels. Most of the work is featured around rural parts of the area. I had an opportunity, when I learned I was going to be honored with this exhibit, I was thrilled. And so I decided I like to plein air paint, which is paint outside on location. So I decided to come out and pick a few locations. But before I did, I contacted a few people in Kent, and they told me about locations I might want to paint. Old barns, I'm trying to do some paintings of old historic barns. So you're going to see cows. You're going to see my interpretation of cows, but you're going to see cows and farms and open spaces and swamp, not swamp, but marshes, and fields and flowers. I went down to the botanical gardens and painted at Seuss Creek. It was great. When you go out in nature and you paint outside in nature, you see it much better. You get to really look at the lights. In fact, I recommend, as I said in my artist statement, go out during lunchtime, take the break, and get out there and walk one of these parks or go visit the farms. There's a lot to be seen out there. It's really pretty. I heard about the Dvorak barn in particular, and also Seuss Creek Gardens. And I decided, as an effort to give back to the community, I would like to give a percentage of my sales of certain pieces that were painted on location in Kent back to the funding for Seuss Creek Botanical Gardens and also the Dvorak barn, because I truly believe in the heritage keeping. During my travels, when it was really hot in the summer, I went into the library and I started doing some research to see which homes and buildings and farms and barns were around much earlier in the early settlements of the valley. And I was impressed with the history, and so I decided I'm going to give a percentage back. And it makes me so happy to do so, because it's a great cause. It was time to take my first art class, and I did that when I turned 40. And so I just started running and grabbed it and ran with it. I just decided I needed to paint. So I've got to take advantage of this light and this natural color and get out there and paint it and capture it. Being an artist is hard. It's one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. It's long hours. Pay is intermittent. I teach in my studio a lot. I have students of all ages, and they're willing to come in and learn a bit about technique.
Barbara's a friend of mine. I know her well, so yes, I love her work. I love the colors and the saturation and the ease with which pastels are very hard. I tried playing with pastels early in my artistic journey, and I found it pretty hard to master. And she's truly a master of pastels, so I just love looking at her work. It just draws me in.
I love his work. It's whimsical, it's creative. He is so talented.
My name is Vikram Madden. I'm a visual artist, and I paint in oils and acrylics. The ideas for my paintings come from everywhere. Pop culture, things I read, poetry, images from other artists, themes from shows. And what I'm really trying to do is express ideas in a way that engages audiences. I like to do stuff that's whimsical and humorous and colorful. And if you look at it long enough, you'll probably find the deeper meanings that are in there. So a lot of my paintings are metaphorical. There are movements behind the obvious visuals. And the style of painting I do is pop surrealism, and the kind of work I do are narratives, so whimsical, invented narratives. And I try to make them a little mysterious purposefully, just so that when somebody comes across my painting, if it catches their attention and they look at it, one of the things that any viewer brings to that interaction is all their own history and past. And that often allows people to make a connection and build a story that draws upon things they've experienced in their life, and that creates the experience, it makes the experience personal. So every person who encounters my paintings is going to experience it in a personal way. And actually all good art should be like that. Every time we as a viewer find some art to be interesting and engaging, it's probably because it's resonating with something inside us or in our history or in how we see the world. The ability to laugh and smile is a very human thing. And I think if we don't do it enough because our lives are very hectic, we have a lot of pressures and stresses. And so if my art can provide a little moment of levity or joy, then I think I'm doing what I was meant to do. What I knew how to do as a kid was just doodle. So when I was doodling a lot in school, and then by the time I was in college in India, I was starting to cartoon, and I was having my work published in magazines and stuff. And when I came to the US, I got a chance to cartoon for a daily newspaper, so I was doing that for a little while. But I didn't know how to paint. I literally did not think I could paint till one day I bought a little $2 paint box from Goodwill. And it had a little canvas and it had 4 colors, and I started painting, and I was like, hey, this is doable. It's not that alien as I imagined it to be. A lot of my paintings will arise from little doodles in my sketchbook, and one thing often leads to another, so some will evolve over time from things I've done in the past. There's a couple of paintings in this show that feature 2 little characters that are in them, and people often ask what they are, and while I invite them to again make up their own stories, for me when I'm doing that, they're representations of the human spirit. It's really humans, the essence of being human in an experience that is hopefully thought-provoking and hopefully engaging. I actually work in a lot of different styles, mostly because I'm learning, and for me, I have not decided to narrow down to one particular visual look or feel. For me, every painting is a learning process. There's something new I'm trying, whether it's a technique or whether it's a material or whether it's an idea. And so a lot of my paintings come out looking quite different from each other. And in the beginning, I used to struggle with the idea that, do I want my work to be this diverse, or do I want it to be instantly recognizable? And the thing I realized is the thing that connects all my work is me. So it's still all my work. It's still an extension of who I am. So I'm not going to artificially restrict how I explore this new world I'm in. And so I'm always trying different things and different ways of expressing my ideas. And so the same is true of my paintings, just like any other painters. I invite people to engage with it, with their own narratives, with their own stories. And I'm trying to generate some positive emotion. I think there's a lot of serious art in the world, and it's all good art, but art doesn't always have to take itself seriously in order to make the world a better place. And so that's part of what I'm trying to do. My mission is to make the world a better place, one smile at a time. December 9th and 10th, I'm having an open house in my studio in Bellevue. Details are on my website, www.vikrammadan.com. And if any of you want to come over, I'd love it. 9th and 10th is a weekend. We'll be there all day. So there'll be there'll be many more paintings there too. So if you're enjoying this show, I invite you to come see more paintings at my studio.
I have shows at my studio this week, first Thursday and second Saturday of the month, and also in December.
The exhibit is free and runs from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Centennial Center Gallery is located at 400 West Gow Street, next to Kent City Hall. Sponsored by Kent Arts Commission.